Breaking news! Something is not adding up in Baltimore, and former Ravens safety Marcus Williams just dropped some bombshell revelations that could change how fans view his entire time with the team. We're talking about a player who was once celebrated as one of the best safeties in the league, a guy Baltimore paid big money to lead its secondary, now opening up about shocking details, hinting at being benched for reasons he never fully understood, feeling like a fall guy, and even questioning how the Ravens coaching staff handled him last season. And the way he tells it, this wasn't just about bad games, it was about something much deeper inside the organization. But before we move on, make sure you hit that like button if you're a true Ravens fan. It's always amazing to see fans of all ages supporting this team. And if you feel like it, comment, "Go Ravens," down below. Let's get this discussion going. What Marcus Williams said in this new interview is raising serious questions. Was he unfairly scapegoated for defensive breakdowns? Did a lack of communication from coaches sabotage his confidence and performance? Or, as some critics claim, was this simply a case of a great player declining faster than expected? The truth might shock you, because Williams insists he never got worse as a player, and he's ready to explain exactly why he believes things spiraled the way they did. Now, let's get into it. Marcus Williams, in a recent interview with Terran Armstead, held nothing back when discussing his rocky final season in Baltimore. His biggest criticism? The coaching staff. Williams revealed that communication from the top down was severely lacking, and he believes that failure played a huge role in how things went wrong. He openly admitted that he had his share of mistakes, saying he takes accountability for whatever plays he might have misread or opportunities he missed. But he also made it very clear that he was never told exactly what he did wrong. Imagine that, a player with 8 years as an NFL starter, who battled through major injuries to stay on the field, suddenly being benched and given no clear explanation. Williams said bluntly, "You don't just get bad overnight." The frustration was evident in his words. According to Williams, he was told to take a break and then came back to play, only to be benched again the following week without warning. That back and forth, he admitted, hurt deeply, especially for a competitor who prides himself on preparation and professionalism. Even more shocking, Williams hinted that he may have been used as a fall guy for defensive breakdowns. As he explained, sometimes a safety can appear responsible for a blown play on TV when, in reality, it might not have been his assignment at all. But rather than point fingers or name names, he chose to stay quiet publicly out of respect for his teammates and the organization. This wasn't just a story about miscommunication, though. It was about pride, respect, and reputation. Williams insisted that despite his struggles, he was still making plays in practice against Lamar Jackson, the best quarterback in the league as he called him. He even doubled down, stating confidently, "If I'm not the best safety in the league, I'm one of them." That's not just talk from a player who's done, it's a plea for another shot in the NFL. And yet, here we are in 2025, and Marcus Williams is still a free agent. The Ravens cut him long ago, and no other team has signed him. Whether that's because of the lingering perception of his final season in Baltimore or simply bad luck, it's clear that Williams feels he hasn't been given the full chance to prove he still belongs. What stood out, though, was how he handled his exit. He thanked the Ravens organization, called it a blessing to play there, and even acknowledged the financial security the team gave him. But you could sense the lingering pain in his words. This wasn't how his Ravens story was supposed to end. Marcus Williams' story takes an even more intriguing turn when you consider just how much he sacrificed to stay on the field for Baltimore. In that same interview, Williams reminded everyone of the injuries he played through: a torn pec, a dislocated wrist, and still making key plays, including grabbing an interception the very first game after returning from injury. He even fought his way back to play in the AFC Championship, proving that his commitment to the team was never in question. That's the kind of grit Ravens fans usually love, the kind of toughness that's been a trademark of Baltimore football for decades. Yet despite all of that, he ended up benched, frustrated, and confused. What makes his story even more compelling is how much restraint he's shown. Many players in his situation would have gone scorched earth, calling out coaches or teammates by name, especially after being made to feel like a scapegoat. But Marcus Williams didn't. He kept it professional, repeatedly saying he didn't want to be a cancer in the locker room. Even now, as a free agent trying to get back into the league, he refuses to throw anyone under the bus. He made it clear that he'll talk openly about what really happened only after he's retired. That's a level of discipline that some players simply don't have. But at the same time, you can feel his frustration boiling under the surface. His comments about being benched, without a clear explanation, after working hard in practice and making plays, paint a picture of a player who felt abandoned by the very system that was supposed to maximize his talents. When he said, "Once somebody takes your piece, they control you, and nobody's going to control me," it was a statement of defiance. but it was also a window into just how much this entire ordeal affected him emotionally. He's not the type to clap back at fans or rant on social media, but that doesn't mean he wasn't deeply hurt by how things played out. The coaching changes in Baltimore might also explain part of the story. Marcus Williams thrived early in his Ravens tenure, but by the time Zach took over as defensive coordinator, everything shifted. Different schemes, different secondary coaches, and possibly a different philosophy may have contributed to the decline. Williams himself pointed out that fans and analysts don't always understand the nuances of assignments and coverage. What looks like a blown play by one player could actually be someone else's mistake. And if Williams is telling the truth about being used as a fall guy, then that raises some serious questions about accountability within the Ravens' defensive coaching staff last season. Still, you can't ignore the fact that before his benching, many analysts and even some fans were already questioning his performance. Injuries aside, he simply didn't look like the same player he was when he first arrived in Baltimore. Was that on him, or was it because of the system he was placed in? That's the debate that still lingers, and it's why this interview has stirred up so much discussion among Ravens fans. And here's where things get even more interesting. Marcus Williams is clearly trying to get back into the league, and he knows teams are listening to everything he says. He's walking a fine line between telling his truth and staying employable. That's why he's been so careful with his words. But at the same time, his confidence is unshaken. He still believes he's one of the best safeties in football, and he's daring any team to give him a chance to prove it. Marcus Williams' comments continue to spark heated discussions because they highlight a deeper issue that fans rarely get to hear directly from players: the lack of transparency within an NFL organization. When a player of his caliber, with years of proven production, says he was never clearly told why he was benched, it raises eyebrows. How does a veteran starter, signed to a $70 million deal, suddenly become expendable without a clear explanation? Williams admitted he replayed everything in his mind, trying to figure out what went wrong, but no one ever sat him down to explain. That kind of uncertainty eats away at a competitor, especially one who prides himself on doing things the right way, as he repeatedly said. It's important to remember that Williams isn't just talking about a minor drop in playing time. This is a player who was once one of the highest paid safeties in the league, signed to be a cornerstone of Baltimore's secondary. His arrival was supposed to solidify the back end of the defense for years, and in his first season, he looked like exactly that. His instincts, range, and ball-hawking ability were evident, and despite dealing with injuries, he still made impact plays. But then something shifted, and he insists it wasn't because he suddenly forgot how to play football. "You don't just get bad overnight," he said, a statement that will resonate with fans who watched him shine before everything unraveled. One of the most telling parts of the interview was when Williams said he felt like the fall guy. That's a strong accusation, even if he delivered it in a respectful way. He was essentially saying that when breakdowns happened, the coaching staff didn't clarify responsibilities publicly or even privately, leaving the perception that it was on him. And because he wasn't going to publicly point fingers at teammates, he had to absorb the criticism. That's a brutal position for any player, especially one who had put his body on the line, playing through a torn pec and a dislocated wrist. Think about that level of dedication, returning from a torn pec in the same season without surgery, just to help the team make a playoff push. That's the kind of toughness Ravens fans celebrate, yet it ended with him being benched without answers. Another thing that stands out is how Marcus Williams compared practice to game decisions. He specifically mentioned making plays against Lamar Jackson in practice, proving to himself and coaches that he could still perform at an elite level. If that's true, why didn't it translate to more opportunities in games? Was it really just a matter of miscommunication, or did the new defensive philosophy under Zach simply not fit Williams' strengths anymore? We've seen before how scheme changes can make even great players look out of place, and Williams might have been another victim of that transition. But what truly separates this story